Oh wow, this crease. This is probably the most subtle crease I've seen on a large foldable. I really admire Samsung's quality. You don't need to add any qualifiers. It's simply the lightest foldable phone I've ever weighed. The downside is that when you place it casually on a table, you see, it wobbles. Believe me, everyone, refrain from visiting the store to check out the Samsung Z Fold 7. Once you lay eyes on it, you'll come to the realization that purchasing it initially is a significant error, and yet you will still end up buying it. This ought to be their hallmark color. I'm uncertain of the official designation, but it seems to resemble shadow blue significantly. What do I mean by that? Observe closely, doesn't it possess that gradient effect shifting from black to a profound blue? Hey, did you see that? The entire back panel has a matte finish. Why did I choose this color? Because I found that silver tends to show fingerprints, but this blue looks very clean when I touch it. It's designed to be quite slim and light, making it suitable for using the phone without a case. I really like the arrangement of the camera module because it's very simple. What I don't like is that the flash is placed here, which is quite abrupt. Another thing I like is that the whole back panel doesn't have the Samsung logo, so what if I put the Meizu logo on it? Alright, the Meizu 22 has been launched here at Zhengdatu's. Just joking. Now, shifting our attention to the side of the device, you can observe the Samsung logo clearly printed here. Let's zoom in a little for everyone to get a better sense of it. Folks, it truly appears to be quite thin visually, much like our traditional bar phones. However, I don't believe we need to excessively hype it up, considering everyone has already observed others doing so. And this particular generation, when folded, is indeed exceptionally seamless, isn't it? Nevertheless, due to its slenderness, the camera bump is quite prominent, which presents a minor disadvantage. For example, if I place a Z Fold 7 on the table, take a look. Let me show you again. When I place it down, you see it starts to wobble a bit on its own. And this teetering situation is a bit uncomfortable, to be honest. But regarding its lightness, I really want to weigh it for you all. I have 2 SIM cards inside, but guys, this is indeed the lightest folding screen we've ever weighed. Besides being lightweight and thin, I know everyone is quite concerned about how it feels in hand. Honestly, it feels really comfortable to hold, but there's one downside, similar to the S25 Ultra. Because this part is at a right angle. You see, holding it like this will press against the base of your thumb. However, the fingerprint sensor is very reasonably placed on the side. It's right here. You see the back? You can easily reach it without any issues. Now, moving on to the external screen, people might say the bezel is a bit wide, and indeed it can't be compared to the Flip 7. If you compare, you'll find it quite all right. Plus, Samsung's external screen in this generation has a nice feature. From the side, the middle frame is higher than the external screen. So when you place it on a table and pick it up, it protects your external screen. However, when applying a screen protector later, it should just reach the edge of this middle frame. It should be quite satisfactory. Regarding the inner display, there are 2 aspects worth mentioning this year. Firstly, the front-facing camera is no longer concealed. They claim it's for enhancing the selfie pixel quality, but to be honest, everyone, I don't entirely concur. I believe you might as well utilize the outer display. Alright, the other aspect is the crease. I've been using it for a day. Honestly, everyone, when I first unboxed it and saw the crease, it performed exceptionally well among this year's foldables. There's no need to compare it to the previous Samsung models, just compare it with this year's domestic phones. The progress is really significant, and this deserves special recognition. Also, the brightness of both the inner and outer screens is very high, so you can see clearly, even outdoors. I also want to emphasize the high refresh rate, because this phone comes pre-installed with Android 16, and there's a slight difference between the 11Y8 and the S25 Ultra. You can enable 120 frames on TikTok by disabling the compatibility policy. The S25 Ultra can't do this. After discussing the screen, let's talk about the hinge. This year, the hinge quality is excellent, as always, but it has a small issue. You see, at the 90-degree angle, the hinge feels a bit loose. Also, when you close it, you'll notice this. When you open it once more, due to its construction being rather thin, you will need to exert a bit more force in this particular area. However, it appears that Samsung has designed it akin to a magnetic switch. You notice click, 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 yet occasionally I genuinely feel as though I am unable to fully open it. Now, let's proceed to discuss the adaptation of the large screen software. First, the WeChat Pad version has finally arrived, which is quite an achievement. Moreover, you will observe that numerous third-party applications have also been adapted. I can infer that it is not Samsung actively pursuing this, but instead these third-party applications themselves adapting to the foldable display. You'll notice that apps like TikTok and various shopping apps are mostly available. We also often watch videos, so there's no need to worry about software adaptation. What you need to pay attention to is when we use it in landscape mode, the aspect ratio on both sides might not be quite right, but it's easy to fix by adjusting the aspect ratio in the display settings. Additionally, you should pay attention to good lock. Here, I would like to offer 2 small suggestions. One is to go into Home Up. Adjust your background management configurations, particularly concerning the recent applications. Modify it in this manner. Observe how I swipe upwards to access the background. It's exceptionally practical. If I deactivate it, the default utilization of the expansive screen is insufficient, so I highly recommend you activate it. Additionally, consider the gesture configurations. Turn on the highest priority setting for gestures, and there's nothing else to worry about. If you want, you can also change the taskbar animation by swiping up a bit. It will help a little. Changing it doesn't make much difference. When we talked about its lightness, some mentioned the small 4400 mAh battery, highlighting its weight. But this 4400 mAh battery exceeded expectations. It doesn't feel like 4400 mAh. It even has better battery life than the S25 Ultra. I don't know why, it's quite unbelievable. Besides the battery life, people might be more concerned about the heat. Because it's slim, the Fold 7 does have some heat, but it's smart. The entire heat area is just to the right of your camera, just in that spot, so when I use it daily, I don't feel it. It does get hot, just so everyone is aware. I'll play the speaker for everyone. I think the vibration itself is okay. However, there's a small detail, like when we use third-party input methods, Samsung might not have done a great job adapting to them, which can be a bit annoying because you have to use the default one. Lastly, regarding the camera, let's just talk about the 200 megapixel main camera. It seems like the field of view is a bit too wide, so the distortion at the edges can be a bit bothersome. If you compare this with other mainstream smartphones, you'll discover they're quite distinct. Here's a summary you should be aware of before purchasing. If you're aiming for the design and experience, you might be concerned that the battery capacity is somewhat limited, but I believe it's acceptable, not a significant problem. In summary, this is a phone you purchase. I wouldn't recommend it for myself, so don't attempt to persuade me. Bye.